Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tim, and I love Guild Wars 2. It's one of my favorite games from 2012, and I've seen a massive amount of new players asking for some sort of consult, some sort of guide to the heady task of breaking into a new MMO. And so, without any further ado, I present to you part 1 of Tim Teaches Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars launched April 28, 2005. This game introduced us to the world of Tyria, a once beautiful landscape that had been razed by the hungry and savage Char. As you ran for your lives, the story happened to you through a series of missions and quests that led you to new areas to explore, each with its own story that was separate yet connected to your own. You would help the races and people you met along the way, sometimes even discovering new ones, with each success unlocking a new area to explore. ArenaNet treated Guild Wars like a framework, fixing and building upon what was originally released while developing the next campaign behind the scenes, with smaller bits of content added live in the meantime. These new campaigns told exciting stories that threw the players into conflicts with gods and demons, crossing vast seas made entirely of jade, petrified forests, Sahara-esque deserts, the mouth of torment, and the underworld itself, and everything in between. They updated and balanced the game on a regular basis, adding new content frequently, mini-games, holiday events, dungeons, new classes, weapons, armors, and skills, and much, much more, all of which were carefully crafted around their design philosophy and influenced by player feedback. And so, after 7 years of perfecting this model, ArenaNet decided it was time for a new structure upon which to build. Guild Wars 2 was released August 28th of 2012, and takes place around 250 years after the original. All of the races of the world have come to a tenuous peace in recent times, but this is about to be put to the test. The Elder Dragons have awakened as part of their never-ending cycle of life, death, and rebirth to destroy anything and everything in their path, and they have been very successful. Zaitan is the dragon you face down in this first adventure, but the influence of all the dragons is felt across the world. Here's what the world looked like in the original game. And here is the map now. You can see the impact that their rising has had on the world. And so, from your humble beginnings, which you choose yourself in the character creation, you become swept up in a conflict that takes you across Tyria, helping the people you meet along the way. You'll uncover corruption and greed, fending off the impending danger, and eventually help lead a massive assault on the dragon's very roost. Your direct involvement in taking down the dragon Zaitan is told to you in personalized instant story missions that take place across the whole of Tyria. You will prove your worth, obtaining membership into one of the 3 orders of Tyria, and help them overcome their differences to defeat a threat that would destroy them all. But the story continues into the real world. Each area you will explore has a story of the people struggling within it against the rising of the dragons, their movements having displaced many of the native races, causing them to invade and destroy their homes. The dungeons tell you the story of Destiny's Edge, a band of heroes who fought the dragon Kralkatorrik and lost, barely escaping with their lives, as they try to rebuild their group. You help them mend their fences and broken egos, and they too will aid you in the final fight against Zaitan. And it all blends together seamlessly. There are characters that you will encounter in lower levels of one character's story, only to have them reappear later somewhere else, having done much since the last time you spoke. The game has already been a host to 8 live content updates, all of which were free, all of which were uploaded on the fly, and one of the most recent, Flame and Frost, added in the Living Story, an expansion's worth of new features, places, and storylines that have played out over the last few months. ArenaNet's devotion to making the game feel alive, to me, signals a very good trend when it comes to the content in the future. If they can keep up this kind of innovation and scale with each special event that comes around, this game will feel fresh for a long time to come. This is the screen that will welcome you to Guild Wars 2. Here, much of the pertinent information about your character is on display for a brief description of your current state. It shows your name, race, class, current guild, percentage of map completion, current location in the world, and the server on which you are currently playing. In a recent update, they added the ability to play as a guest on other servers in the PvE and PvP game modes, but you must choose a home server that you will fight for in the World vs. World vs. World competition that I will cover a little bit later. This is the server screen, and it will pop up automatically the first time you log in to a fresh Guild Wars 2 account. In the top right corner, it shows information about your account as a whole. Your account name is shown here, as are your achievement points and the various medals you can collect for account-wide goals such as joining the various orders, visiting every land in Tyria, and even crafting one of the legendary weapons. From here, we'll move on to the actual character creation screen. After you choose your race, class, and physical appearance, with a surprising level of detail on a lot of the races, you will be asked a series of questions that will directly impact both how your personal story plays out and, to a lesser extent, how you will interact with the various NPCs you will encounter. One question is related to your profession and will play a determining factor in part of your starting equipment. Another question asks how you deal with problems and will help decide your initial personality. And 3 race-specific questions will mainly influence the first 30 levels of the personal story. After you review your biography and give yourself a name, an intro video will play that will change depending on how you answered your biography, and the tutorial mission will begin. As a side note, the choices you make in your story are permanent, with 2 exceptions. The piece of your starting equipment, and for Rangers, the pet that you choose, can be changed at any time after the game has begun, and your personality will be impacted more by the choices that you make in the game than it was by the initial trait that you chose. Each character starts with roughly the same equipment, with the exception of the one that you choose, and includes an aqua breather for underwater combat and a 20-slot starter backpack. Each of the tutorial missions begin with some sort of quest that will throw your character into battle with one giant boss or another. These missions being designed to get you used to the various mechanics of the game, such as the weapons that you are able to use not only being bound to the class that you chose, but also determining the first 5 skills in your slot bar. You will also learn how to actively dodge incoming attacks at the right time, and what the various status conditions and boons affect, as well as how to play nicely with others. This includes what may be my favorite addition to Guild Wars, cross-class combinations. Any character that is able to lay a field on the ground is able to have that field be acted upon by another player or ally, including themselves, to further increase the effect of that field. If you were to, for example, have a thief throw a dagger through an elementalist lightning field, it would give that dagger vulnerability, in addition to its already crippling effect. And the list of combinations is wide. How wide? This wide. There are 9 different fields and 4 kinds of finishes: blast, leap, projectiles, and the whirl. Each provides a different interaction with each field, meaning that there are a total of 36 different effects able to be produced by a team that is well-rounded enough, that range from area auras to unleashing bolts of healing that heal your allies in the immediate area. Here's a table of all the effects, and the classes that are able to produce the necessary fields. Pay attention to the events that happen in the tutorial mission, however, because once you lend your aid to taking down the guardian that plagues each zone, you will be pushed further into the conflicts that have torn this trying to be peaceful land into devastating war. Once you complete the beginning mission, you are thrust into the world proper. Your next destination will be shown to you at the upper right hand of the screen, and that is yours to ignore at your leisure. Perhaps you'd rather go up to one of the game's mini scouts. They will show you where there are various world events to complete, as well as points of interest to visit, vistas to climb, skill points to acquire, and various other meta events. The game encourages and rewards you for exploring, learning and mastering your character's skill set as you go. Each class has many weapons available to it, and each choice moves you along a different path, all leading to the final epic conflict for this campaign. There are many other things to do in Guild Wars besides learn its story, however. There is a rather intricate crafting system that, while limiting you to only 2 active professions at a time, will only monetarily penalize you if you'd like to switch. Crafting also nets experience, and is a nice way to quickly level up a new character if need be. Jumping puzzles are littered throughout the world, each having some side story or quirk that makes each different from the last. Perhaps you and your guild would rather take down a bounty, or participate in a guild race, or even play in one of the various mini-games that have been added in. You can also jump into one of the competitive game modes, either the 5 vs 5 structured player versus player, or the 3-server, 4-map wide, week-long battle that is world versus world versus world. Any character you take into these modes will be instantly taken to their appropriate level, and you will be able to accrue regular character experience while you do them, as well as world versus world or SPVP badges and experience that can be traded in for their own rewards. Over these next few videos, you will be given an in-depth look at all the various aspects of this game that make it unique. We will cover advanced combat mechanics and tactics, making money with crafting, competitive play, and much, much more, all while keeping up with the multitudes of updates that will come in the interim, such as the Dragon Bash in July, another holiday event that could be possibly linked to an old world celebration. The purpose of this video, however, was to give you an introduction to the game. It's currently featured at a $40 price point, still has no subscription fee, and is only growing by the month. The original Guild Wars stayed alive and fresh for a decade. And if Guild Wars 2 keeps up as it is, I have only one question for you. What's your story?